Hey y'all, this here is volume 2 of the service truck ramblings, and I'm gonna try to do some of these. You know, if y'all don't like them, you can tell me and we just won't do any more of them. But I've run into all kind of funny stuff through the years, handling all this old equipment and new equipment, being out on the road doing repairs and everything. And these two stories I'm going to tell you today actually aren't really that funny, because both guys could have got hurt really bad, and this is more just a you know, hey, pay attention to what you're doing kind of things. You know, learn about, if you don't know what you're doing with this equipment, you can get hurt pretty easy, and this is just something to kind of help y'all pay attention. The first one is this old man. He was probably in his 70s, and he had never owned a tractor before. And he decided he needed one for something because he didn't have a big place. He just had, you know, like an acre or two. And his whole piece of property is on a slope like this. I mean, he didn't have any business having a tractor on this piece of property, much less him not having any experience running one. But he called us out because he said the tractor had just quit running. Said it just quit moving, the engine died, it just quit running. And we get there, and he said it had been a while back, and he had tried to have a couple other people look at it, and they didn't want anything to do with it. And we get there, and he had unloaded this thing off of a trailer, pulled it around the back of the house, and started going across the grade with it there, and it just died. And everybody else that had fooled with it told him he was going to have to get it somewhere that they could work on it, because it was sitting on a steep hill. And so what this old guy had done was hand dug a flat spot into the side of that hill and poured concrete on it, and then paid a wrecker to come in and set on the road at the top of the hill and run lines a few hundred feet down this bank and pull that tractor up onto that little flat concrete spot there. And it was stuck in gear, and we finally got it apart, and once we pulled the transmission out of it, everything come unbound, and we could turn it again. And what happened was, on second gear, it was a little 8N Ford, second gear, one of the teeth had broke off and then got hung under the next tooth, and that had that tractor bound up so tight that you couldn't move it. You couldn't get anything to budge on it at all. So we had a good flat concrete spot to work on, and we put second gear in a tractor sitting on the side of a hill behind this old boy's house, and he told us as soon as we could get it running for him, he didn't care if he lost money on it or not, he was selling it. And that was probably the best thing for him. But if you don't know what you're doing, find somebody that can help you learn how to run your equipment, and don't get out here and get hurt on it. The next story was an old gentleman that he didn't live here, but he had some property here that he hunted on, and he had a couple of little tractors there, and one of them was another N-Series Ford. Those things are all over the place here. And I don't remember what kind of it, whether it was an 8N or Jubilee or Workmaster or whatever. I don't really remember what it was, just that it was an N-Series Ford. And he had a bush hog on it, and this one is really bad. This guy is lucky that he didn't get hurt really, really bad here. I see a lot of old farmers around, they'll have a bush hog or something hooked to their tractor on a 3-point hitch, and instead of having a turnbuckle style top link on it, they'll just have a piece of chain, which is what this guy had. Well, that turnbuckle, that solid top link is really important because it keeps whatever is behind you from being able to flip up. You know, if you're running a bush hog, it's made to flex a certain amount if you go in a ditch or something. But without a solid top link, it's able, the two bottom pins are just a hinge point. And what happened was, this old guy called me and said that he had got his bush hog flipped up and couldn't get it back down. And I didn't really understand what had happened the way he was trying to describe it, and so I drove out there, and I really wish I had got pictures of this, but this was before everybody had, you know, a camera on their phone and could take pictures of everything. And so I get out there, and he had been running this tractor along in, you know, second gear or whatever, mowing, and had hit a stump with the bush hog, and everything worked out just perfect to where when he hit it, the back of the bush hog came up and it flipped the whole bush hog up on top of the tractor, and the bush hog landed on him. And the only thing that really kept that, I guess, from mashing him to death was that it hit the fenders, which, you know, don't stick up that much on a N-Series. But the bush hog was laying on top of the tractor, and he had been able to cut the tractor off and somehow climb out from under that bush hog. You know, he was there by himself, nobody there with him, and didn't think anything about it. Didn't think anything in the world about getting out there and mowing just like he had always done, and didn't think that anything could possibly happen. But because he had a chain which worked great to pick the bush hog up, you know, that chain would pull tight and it made the top link where you could pick the bush hog up. But because that chain just went slack whenever that bush hog started coming up, it was able to flip all the way up on top of the tractor, and he came away from it just banged and beat up a little bit. That really could have been a whole lot worse than what it was. So make sure all of your equipment's operating properly. Make sure you know how to run it. Make sure all the safety stuff is there. And you know, those old tractors didn't have safety equipment on them, really, roll bars and that kind of stuff. But make sure everything that is there is in working order, and that it's doing what it's supposed to do, and that you're not just kind of throwing stuff together to make it work, because you can get hurt real easy that way. So I'm going to do some more of these videos, just different stories and everything, and try to get some more equipment videos up for you here before long. And in the meantime, if y'all would like, comment, and subscribe, share these videos, especially this one. Anybody that you know of that might benefit from hearing these stories, send them this video, and I sure do appreciate it.